Welcome to the Winners and Losers Show. Hello, everybody. My name is Hank Thompson. I'm the host of the show. I'm going to be the host of the show until all the princes are tucked in and made safe for sleep. Yeah, that'll make sense later. It won't. None of this will. Hey, everybody. Another week, another podcast. Winners and Losers, your reliable podcasting. Welcome, everyone. Excited to be back. I have downgraded my attire from the formal clothing I was wearing last week to the skin I'm much more comfortable in, which is a hoodie I bought from Target 8 years ago. I think fashion is killing the planet, and we should wear clothes longer. As if that's like, what if that was my big political? It is fucked up that people just throw. Anyway, the garbage. There's so much garbage. I throw away so much. I don't know. It also comes with a whole big dose of guilt, because I'm sure if I was perfect, the world would be saved or whatever. Anyway, wow, horrible start. I should plan these a little more. Happy to be in your ears. Thanks for listening and tuning in. Some updates. We do have some news stories to get into. Not really going to make this a huge deep dive thing. I'm focusing on trying to keep the show a little shorter. That is to say, for me, shorter means under 3 hours. But I'm aiming for an hour. I think that sounds about right. Lots of commotion here at the La Casa de Hank. That's supposed to. I did another thing I wish I hadn't said into the microphone. We've got a bunch of business updates. If you're curious about Bum Rush Industries advancing, well, it is. We've got keys. And I'm not going to hold them still in front of the camera, lest one of you enterprising thieves sees exactly what it is and then makes an imprint in soap and somehow manages to find, to duplicate these keys. It's a security risk, gotta say. So I've got a mailing address now. I have a business. I have 2 addresses. I've become, and I'm going to put them on my other keys. This is a ceremonial adding of the keys, which is indicative of your life becoming more complicated. And that's okay. So now I have extra keys, more shit to carry around, and that's good. By the way, quick tip, guys, little flashlight. Get a little flashlight for your keychain. Comes in a pinch when you drop a condom while you're driving. Thanks for tuning in. What am I trying to get at? So yeah, Bum Rush Industries did a bunch of streaming. I don't know how many hours, 5, 10, 20 hours. I don't know, a bunch of shit. Made a bunch of candle holders and sanded them down and turning them into cool, smooth little shapes. Let's just click on. I got this stuff going here. So we're closer and closer and closer to actually putting listings up and selling stuff, and then seeing if anybody. I think I'm going to sell a few. I'm optimistic. I think I'm going to sell a few. This is like when they invented the pet rock, except no. Why am I trying to make this funny? Yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm excited. It's been a lot of talk and a lot of work, a shit ton of work. But like the part where the effort is really rewarding, but I think as gross and as much as I hate money, money seems to drive people insane, no matter what end of the spectrum they're on. And we all seem to, it seems to incentivize massive compromises in people's lives, which is annoying. Nevertheless, money would help me a lot. I need money. We all need money. I'd like to live a little bit more comfortably and have some return for all the effort in the form of this thing that I hate, which is money. So I want more. We all have this thing, and my goals are sort of emotional. I want to get enough to be able to have some security and some comfort that comes with knowing that you can afford to have your femur replaced if you have a woodworking accident, such and such and such. You guys know, it doesn't. We don't need to explain it too much. I'm sure we've all been. That funny thing that's like when children. I don't know. Not that I'm around every child, watching how they learn what money is, but there must be this process in childhood where you learn. Where you pick up on the notion that your parents are obsessed with this thing because they abandon you during the day to go work for it. But you also get this idea of having a little bit of your own money, and you're sort of taught, what money is, I guess, and its value. And there's those are sort of formative type things, I think. I don't know what I'm trying to say about that. Doesn't mean, but what is a world without money? Star Trek, where the military flies around in space and falls in love with each other. That's basically it. And occasionally one of them has goes into rut and has to be beaten up by his friends, and so he's not so horny all the time. And that's basically all. I just spoiled all of Star Trek for everybody, and I'm sorry about that. So anyway, working my ass off on Bum Rush Industries. I'm really excited though. I keep feeling more and more excitement about what's next in the next phase, and change is good. It's a little scary, but it's good. And also been doing tons of streaming Valheim playthrough. If any video game dorks, there's literally like 90 hours of me playing this on Suck Professor. If you're looking for some heavy doses of Hank, it is basically, I ramble like I do right now. It's essentially this stretched a little bit out over a video game, and then we talk about the game too, because we get into the details. It's a really fun game, beautiful apps. Like this game does lighting better than I've ever. Well, lighting. Two things I like to look at in games among graphics are the lighting effects and the water effects. This game manages both of those incredibly well, as well as giving you all this kind of creative control and free will to do violence or theft. You either can take resources or to kill the people who are mad that you're taking. No, it's a Viking world. There's like a lot of characters running around. So yeah. Please check it out. Have a look. Maybe you'll find out you've never watched a video game playthrough before, and in this case, you'll get to watch me, yell about Viking stuff while occasionally dropping little bombs of the truth. All right, guys. Where are we going here? I don't need to get too pluggy with all this bullshit. Let's just jump into the stories a bit. This is actually probably my shortest intro of all time, and this is going to become more routine. I might even start clipping some of these segments out for YouTube. I dread that. I've worked in that industry forever. Feels like torture to have to publish videos and stuff, but it's a smarter way to reach an audience than just to put up a bad thumbnail on a podcast that no one's ever heard of. So where are we at here? Shootings. America's Second Amendment is alive and well. The blood is flowing. The bullets are flying, and people are being placed into the ground with Second Amendment holes in them. And the profits are up whenever these shootings happen, or any kind of like shocking culturally, like system shock kind of events, like such as 9/11 or a Democrat getting elected. Anytime that happens, gun sales go up. People flee to the store where they can buy a little instant respect machine. I don't feel respected. I don't have power, but if I have a little life ender strapped to my waist, either you can see it or maybe you can't see it. Maybe I'll hide it in my underwear. Then you're going to respect me, and you're going to listen to me, motherfucker. And it'll be my little emotional support weapon. So I think what drives the gun thing in this country. Not that guns are the primary. Well, the bullets certainly are. Violence, it's a constellation of issues. Those who say it's a mental health problem are usually saying so with disingenuous intentions and bad faith intentions. But that is a factor in terms of our country and the way people are conditioned to deal with stress and deal with childhood trauma and deal, in the numerous and infinite almost downstream effects of system-wide trauma. I think America is a very traumatized country, generationally. Not just this country, but I think the world in general. We're like tumbling into modernity, quote unquote, out of old systems of bad thinking throughout the planet, not just unique to European cultural background like America, which now the Republicans are, a group of them are forming the Anglo-Saxon caucus or something like that to really lean into the white supremacism. So they must be gearing up for that Tucker Carlson run. But anyway, all those issues are relevant, but in general, I think that humans, we are that one of the frontiers we're going to have to get our shit together on is mental stress and the ramifications of that. Some people handle it a little better. Some people, the coin can flip a little bit at any one moment, whether they choose a coping skill, which that no one thinks at the time when they start take up cigarette smoking that they're choosing a coping skill. People don't have that kind of thinking, but and it's coming out in America in the form of immense violence and immense death, and we're just used to it. We're just used to people dying in this country. We don't care if people die from health insurance. I can't. It's crazy to me that we don't lock up health insurance executives for murder, for mass murder. How is 10, 20, 30, 40, it's not 10, tens of thousands, but how is 60, 70,000 people dying a year legal? Obviously, that's a little simplistic. It's a big system, but we're okay with people dying. We don't care. We're all conditioned to look at it as someone else's problem. That's a result of, I think historical, cultural factors, as well as, and which primarily the notion of individualistic thinking. Not my problem. Plus, you're too busy. Maybe you're a little tired from working all the fucking time, not having vacations, not having proper rest, being bothered by your boss on weekends, having to work on weekends or get emails, or, I need to look into this. I haven't read up a ton on it, but France has some kind of law that your employers aren't allowed to email you on the weekends. There's like, those are sort of boundaries that should be more and more established for workers to be liberated from the malware of their terrible employers. Just quick plug for a book. I listened to it recently, but it's called Work Won't Love You Back by Sarah Jaffe. She's a labor journalist, great writer, really works hard. I enjoyed her podcasts or podcasts she's appeared on. And anyway, I listened to the book. The audio was cheaper than like half as much. It's a new book. Newer books are hardcover editions. They tend to be kind of pricey for my budget, especially. But fantastic writing about work and about the emotional. She covers. There's a lot of history built into. She shares stories of people who have encountered the maw of this exploitative system, and then she gets into the history of it too. Like, there's fascinating histories, like the department store strikes that you never heard about. And I want to say Woolworths. I don't want to misquote what so. Where young women who were the retail clerks and the retail workers in these big department stores and whatever, they held sit-ins and strikes and stuff. I think they did sit-ins. I don't want to, but there's a lot of labor actions that don't really make it into the history books and that you learn about from this. And so anyway, Work Won't Love You Back. I highly recommend it. It's a great listen. It's good audio. It's my first audio book I've ever listened to. Just like a podcast, it's just like 12-hour podcast, basically. I mean, you break it up into chunks, and it's great. So, she'd be actually fun to talk to. I think it'd be a good conversation when we start having guests back here on the Winners and Losers show. So, yeah, this whole thing is just immense amounts of pain being, generated by just constant trauma or whatever. I'm not even sure how to, just the violence that comes out. Young men are not being socialized properly. Something is severely wrong. Access to weapons is far too easy. I'm not naive enough to think that we would ever achieve my dream of gathering up all the weapons and melting them down into a sculpture of Mickey Mouse. But, so I don't think that we'll ever really get rid of them all. If we ever were to my view, I think that means something along the lines of like a multi-generational project akin to anti-smoking campaigns, we just basically have to slowly turn that barge of momentum that's built into America's tolerance for these weapons, for these things. I don't like living in a world where people can shoot you. The guy that tried to scam me, which I'm not going to tell the story this time. I mouthed that. I got mouthy when I realized what was happening. And as he was driving off, this was such a strange story. I said to him quite loudly, with my full throatedness. It wasn't a yell, but I said, "Good luck with your next one," kind of like that. And he heard that, and he's just driving away with this girl in the front seat. He says, "It was the next one. Just don't hit people's cars." 2 minutes later, I see that he'd pulled someone else over, and I took pictures of that. Anyway, So he was scamming, and that's what confirmed with me that this is 100% a scam. Fucking asshole. But what drove his desperation? What drove all that? Anyway, that's a side point. What I realized a couple days later was just like, fuck, this is America. This guy might, I mean, like, guns are here. They're everywhere. There's illegal gun, meaning like serial numbers scratched off. There's, black market guns. There's guns all over the place. Like, not that I felt threatened at the moment, but there were moments where I wasn't paying super close attention, where this guy might have had a weapon and used it or something. Maybe me saying good luck with the next one set the guy who's ballsy enough to pull people over and try to scam $60 out of them, claiming that you've scratched their car. There's a little bit of an innocence to that I can almost respect, but it's also like you're trying to just take money from people, and you deserve to be punched in the face or something. I'm not a pacifist, but a murder, he could have shot me. It could have been. Wouldn't it be easier to fight scammers if we knew they could only stab you? Right? I would rather fight a guy with a knife than a guy with a gun. There's a logic to guns that works because they really are powerful things. They make people mind themselves. Be careful. And a major part of the emotional need to have guns around comes from the powerlessness people experience in the rest of their life, I believe, in their workplace, especially in their modern family structures are, I think, actually kind of missing a wholesomeness. I'm not saying this is universally true. Many people have plenty of healthy connections, but like, it's even weird that we call it the nuclear family. Actually, something really interesting, if I ever have Sarah Jaffe, author of Work Won't Love You Back, on the show, I would ask her about this. In one of the chapters, she gets into the origins of the nuclear family and its role as a social construct that was deliberately set into America in order to maintain gender difference. It was really interesting stuff. Because we didn't evolve with a mother and a father. If you were in the 60,000 years ago, if the only two people who were looking out for you were a mom and a dad, something had gone incredibly wrong. A major calamity had occurred to your group, and you're in major trouble in that case. And that's what we call the ideal family in this country. It's a little weird. And they use the word nuclear, which a cell needs the rest of the cell. The cell needs the surrounding objects, and including a defensive wall from which you can either allow osmosis, not that. What's it? Diffusion, where it travels across the barrier, whatever. Most metaphors break down quite quickly here. Yeah. So bloody days in America are back, and they will never stop. The thing I was saying about the smoking, it took generations of little pieces here and there that sort of changed attitudes about smoking and its prevalence, and it seems to be better, although it's still a legal product, even though it kills 500,000 people a year, 6 million globally. Those numbers are probably updated a little. So the only hope for guns in that sense is that there's a cultural change that occurs over 2 or 3 or 4 generations. So meanwhile, lots of blood will be spilled. Lots of Second Amendment people will be Second Amendmented to death. And that's but hey, you know what? You want to make an omelet, you got to kill a few million people, right? There's just no other way to run a society. Can't do it. Emotionally insecure men who don't have access to mental health care services that could be paid for, provided for. We need a Manhattan Project, but for therapy for everybody. Even those of you that think you got it all sorted out. It's okay to, the frontier of human progress requires, in my opinion, going into this. It's scary and hard. I've done it on a personal level. It's, and obviously I'm very, I don't exactly, it's quite obvious that a lot of the ways I look at solutions to the world source to my own life. I don't think that's necessarily bad. Like my whole thing about how we should try to make childhood good for literally every child. Make it easy to raise children, not to necessarily encourage production of people, but to discourage production of assholes so that people don't end up being stressed out, traumatized adults who had to get over their childhood. Even those of them who kind of get it and then they sort of become fine, they still had to expend a bunch of energy overcoming those inertias that were set in place by whatever those weird experiences were. And I just don't accept that we can't do anything about that. I think that's bullshit. That's fucking that's what people say who don't want to change things. And clearly we could do better. So, broken men, broken women, broken people, broken everybody in America, and you're going to end up with it that downstream means shootings and other things and lots of other ways that lives are degraded by these, people's origin. I don't like this narrative that, well, look at that person. They had a shitty childhood and they started a business and they made themselves millions of dollars and that's fine. You should do that. It's like, yeah, that's not everybody. Not everybody does that. Oftentimes there's privileges behind that too. But like, why do we have a world where it's on maximum difficulty mode and a few people are able to do the difficulty? Even not to say that they're like happy or better. They just manage to get it to that works for them. And especially with the markers we look at, the measurable ones like income, like money, like, oh, look, you're rich. That means you're okay. That's also complete nonsense. What makes people okay is what the surveys, when they survey people at the end of life, you can look this up, end of life surveys where people are about to die. They say, tell us about your life. What do you wish you'd done differently, et cetera? Those kinds of questions. And the number 1 and 2 answers are always, I wish I'd worked less and I wish I'd spent more time with people I care about. People have fundamental needs to spend time, leisure time, relaxation, guilt-free relaxation with their friends and people who they're bonded to, who they love. Big families. Because that's what makes, it's not that this is even like an immoral or, all right, it's just like, that's just how, it's the same reason bears need land to dig a hibernation hole, because it's just your instincts are being challenged. You need to have, the more harmonious life is with the way your instincts evolved, then you're the easier and less stress, and therefore the healthier you're going to be. And maybe humanity is evolving into maximally stressed animals who work way more than our ancestors ever did, who have all these, fractured lives, these atomized needs, our insecurities provoked from the very beginning by, parental abandonment and childhood, exposure to capitalism, to being advertised to being trained to be a consumer. And over many more generations, another 50,000, 60, 80, 90, 200,000 years, generations of humans will evolve where that is what feels good and feels comfortable or something like that. Perhaps that's where we're headed. It sounds absurd, and it is absurd because we're not, the major factor that shifted it all is culture, in like agriculture, especially the cultivation of land and the preservation of property and borders and all those other ways. So, all right, preachy ramble guy. So what's next here? COVID-19 death toll tops 3 million, according to the AP here on the CNBC news broadcast. I don't know what the C stands for. I think it stands for Cuck National Broadcasting. Why did I say that? Cuck's not even one of my go-to funny words. Lots of deaths in Brazil. The true number is to believe significantly higher because of possible government concealment and in many cases overlooked in the early stages of the outbreak that began in Wuhan, China at the end of 2019. Yeah, so messy, ugly numbers here. Kind of funny how we just like let the people in charge of this country who just botched it, fucked it all up, made it this big political monstrosity, which is now going to also extend through this vaccine phase and this getting back to normal phase, because a high percentage of Republicans refuse to be vaccinated. I'm sure there's a percentage of Democrats who are probably also similarly misinformed. So yeah, just nothing but mass death, and we're gonna go get worried about the serial killers out there. Those are the real dangers. A lone man who might want to snuggle with your corpse, or maybe it's the politicians who let 500,000 people die in a year. Civil War killed 600,000 people. By February, COVID had killed 500,000 Americans. And whoopsie daisy. And then the story we're told, especially from the right, is that, that means that he saved millions of lives. It would have been worse had they done nothing. It's outrageous. So, yeah. Shitty, man. So just a couple of quotes. Worldwide deaths are on the rise again, running at around 12,000 per day on average, and new cases are eclipsing 700,000 a day. In Brazil, where deaths are running about 3,000 per day, accounting for 1/4 of the lives lost worldwide in recent weeks. That's no good. It's getting messy there. India is having issues. Let's see. The situation is similarly dire in India, where cases spiked in February after weeks of steady decline, taking authorities by surprise. In a surge driven by variants of the virus, India saw over 180,000 new infections in one 24-hour span during the past week, bringing the total number of cases to over 13.9 million. Here in the U.S. and some European countries, the use of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine is on hold because of extremely rare but dangerous blood clots. Okay. And as has AstraZeneca's vaccine, has likewise been hit with delays. Another concern, poorer countries are relying on vaccines made in China and Russia, which some scientists believe. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if that's in the U.S., where over 560,000 lives have been lost, accounting for more than 1 in 6 of the world's COVID-19 deaths. 1 in 6. That's what, 17.5%, I think? 1 in 5 is 20%. Hospitalizations and deaths have been... Okay, I was just resuming reading here. 1 in 6 of the world's COVID-19 deaths. Hospitalizations and deaths have been dropped. Businesses are reopening. Life is beginning to return to something approaching normalcy in several states. The number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits tumbled last week to 576,000, a post-COVID low. Whoa, wow. Not bad. Progress has been patchy. In Michigan, it's flaring up. So, yeah, I haven't really stayed up on all the variants and the different vaccines. But this still got a ways to go with this. It's going to be a rough landing. I think we're at the phase of this where like the plane is landing, but its leaves are hitting trees. You know, it's smacking through the tree branches and stuff as it's crashing past you. And eventually, hopefully, it'll land in a nice field and it'll only spin out a little bit on the field. But there is no smooth runway ahead. And what I mean is, what the fuck am I trying to say? They're going to be flare-ups that wouldn't exist if we had a better system, if we had universal health care, if we had a culture of people that were used to trusting the government to deliver health care. I know that sentence alone might raise people's, what is it, heckles? There's something that gets raised that you might think, oh, fuck that. That's never going to, what are you even saying? I can't trust it. You know, people have been trained to believe in all that. I think like everything, when you say you could, not to say you should trust this government, I know it's simplistic, but you can trust people. You can build a system that has incentive structures where it can be corrected and it can be improved. But we just don't have something like that here. We just have mass corruption and legalized bribery throughout the system. So people are right to not necessarily trust it. You know, yeah, it's no human system would be perfect, but it like with everything, it's easier to screw shit up than it is to get shit right. There's several million ways to not build a ladder. And there's like 10 ways to make a ladder. So if you have a goal, especially something very complicated like operating a society for everybody's benefit, the range of correct decisions is narrow. The range of incorrect decisions is massive. So if your worldview is built around the fact that, or not the fact, the mistaken, useful bullshit, quote unquote fact, that government is always a problem, that it can always only do wrong, that it's less is always more, then it's easy to prove that by getting into government and just making shitty decisions, just making corrupt decisions that are built around the incentives that you are fed and that you ideologically might even adhere to serve the donors, those who give you money. It's not very complicated. So anyway, keep your hands clean. Keep wearing your mask. I was actually at the place in line for something. I was returning a package, and I saw a guy. I haven't been out a ton. Some people have seen way worse than this, But he takes his mask down over his chin, kind of to free up his face, the holes on his face, and he starts just giving his nose a little tending, just giving it a wipe. And we all do that. Who doesn't get their own snot on their fingers when they're, maybe it's runny, maybe whatever, maybe who knows? We all have reasons. We got a tickly nose hair. I get plenty of those. I yank them out on the way to Red Lobster if I'm going on a date or something. But pulls his mask down, gives the nose, gets it all, and he's in line to go we're in line to touch a payment button thingy or something. I don't know if I'm, and it's just and then right back up. So there's one of those things. If there was a black light you could shine to follow the goo, those studies where they're like, we're going to have these 6 people sit down and 1 spoon has black light UV invisible grease or something. And then like 20 minutes later, they turn on the black light and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Everybody's got it on their cheeks, their foreheads, their lips, their glasses. It's up their butts. It's coming out their nipples. It's everywhere, all over. So this is just a great example of oh yeah, that's nasty. That's nasty. And we're all kind of, the truth is, here's the truth. No, humans, we're probably ingesting all kinds of stuff that come out of other people all the time. How many chefs, how many meals have you had at a restaurant, fast food or otherwise, where someone else touches your food? Well, that person is wiping their butt and doing stuff with those hands, and we're all nasty, but it's just kind of inherently bacterially, and we're all just sort of I don't think I'm not like a sterilization extremist. You have to realize that's just what a ecosystem is. Humans, I don't know. Right. Okay. Well, you get it. I'm not sure what the fuck I was trying to get with that one. Here's the COVID tracking project. I didn't really actually pick out numbers here, but U.S. has 31 million. India, 14 million. All right, let me start over. U.S. 31.6, India 14.5, Brazil 13.8. All 3 of those countries run by right-wing fanatics. Modi in India, Bolsonaro in Brazil, and Trump in the United States. Trump is no longer in charge. Yes, I know. But the vast majority of the United States response to this thing, especially when it got going and all of 2020, was under right-wing control. And with America's states being all split up, as plenty of failures from the governors throughout the system too. Newsom in California, Cuomo in New York, big blue states. Those guys are fucking pieces of shit, and they did a terrible job too. But something about these right wing countries that seem to not handle, not be handling public care very well, public health, public safety. But we got plenty of money for those military bombs. Don't worry about that. There'll be more than enough bombs and planes and missiles and all kinds of shit that they're going to spend profitably. They're going to spend plenty of profitable exchanges on getting all that stuff because that keeps you safe. But oh no, we couldn't possibly keep you safe from a massive virus. I think even in ideal circumstances, some people would have died. That sounds extreme, but optimally, we would have minimized that. Still going to have issues you're going to have to deal with, but it's messy. And this is probably just one of the pandemics of our lifetimes. If these things are indeed being partially or largely driven by human encroachment on animal spaces, as well as a warming environments, which increases, makes it a little bit better for, viri to spread and be, transmitted into human populations or mutated and end up in our populations. So yeah, it's nuts, man. It's just crazy. This is a pretty interesting website though. Let's check on our friends in Illinois. Where's I don't know how to do just Illinois, so we'll just do just Chicago. 10,000 deaths. Not bad, Chicago. Let's see how Chicago compares to our friends in Dallas. Oh, only 4,000 deaths in Dallas. All right. Hey. Tarrant, Texas, never heard of it. 3,300. Albuquerque, New Mexico, 912 deaths, 55,000 cases. This is a fun way to play with a map, isn't it? Denver, 789 deaths. Little Sounds like you're a little too much reefer there, Denver. Like, remember when like they were like the one of the first states to legalize weed, and everyone was like, "Oh, Denver." Let's see how the Mormons are handling it. Mormon power: 838 deaths, 146,000 cases. Hell, fucking yeah. How about San Francisco? Let's see. I don't. No, that's not. That's not it. It's a small red one. What? 517? I'm not sure. Los Angeles, this is more like it. 1.2 million cases, 23,000 deaths. Well, a lot of energy, a lot of grief, a lot of life lost that didn't have to be lost. But what are you gonna do? Whoops, whoopsie daisy. So good. Next story. I don't know why I picked this one. I just saw it and I just put it in this thing. So we're gonna do it. I doubt you're gonna get this on other podcasts. Kamala Harris, a nurse who sent her jailed husband videos. So let me be clear here. The nurse's husband is jailed, not Kamala's. It'd be funny if Kamala's husband was in jail. The vice president. She sent the jailed husband videos where she was threatening Kamala Harris, and the Secret Service got a hold of them. The reason what I was reading this, and okay, let me just give you the basics here. A Florida nurse was arrested this week for threatening to kill Vice President Kamala Harris, according to a criminal complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. Nivian Phillip Phelps, a 39-year-old mother, is accused of recording and sending several videos to her jailed husband in which she discussed murdering the vice president. I mean, I suppose that's something you'd talk about with your jailed spouse. Between February 13 and 18, Phelps knowingly and willfully made threats to kill and inflict bodily harm upon the vice president of the United States. Here's where, like, this raises some of the stories about how companies have they totally cheat prisoners. Like, they use their incarceration to milk their families by charging them for everything, charging them for like all the ways that we are aggressively dehumanizing prisoners in America's punishment-based prison model. There's just a ton of capitalism injected into that, where they're able to like get these families just to have the worst kind of connection, which is a phone call or some sort of limited interaction. During a very stressful time for these people, and we make it worse, and then we make it more likely that there'll be the recidivism rate is going to stay high. So here he is. A Secret Service special agent intercepted communications between Phelps and her incarcerated husband on JPay, a communications platform that allows non-incarcerated people to communicate with those in jail. Why is a private company involved at all in getting prisoners to be able to communicate with their family? 5 videos showed Phelps complaining to the camera about her hatred for Harris, President Joe Biden, and others, the complaint says. In one of the videos, Phelps stated, "Kamala Harris, you are going to die. Your days are numbered already." It's very direct to put that right at Kamala, even though she's sending it to her jailed husband, which makes me think this woman needs help. Probably not every could use some professional help. In this same video, Phelps also claims she was paid a large sum of money for her attempt to carry out the job, the complaint says. She says, "Someone paid me $53,000 to fuck you up, and I'm going to take the comma. I'm going to do the job, okay?" she said. In another video, so the authorities can just watch these videos. I mean, I guess prison systems monitor the communications. I think they open letters of their prisoners all the time in videos. So anyway, in another video, she says she's going to go to the gun range. "I swear to God, today you're going to die. 5 days from today, mark this day down." I guess there's pictures of her at a gun range. So this woman had you can't, I guess, I'm not just, I don't know why I'm doing this story. I'm not looking here to be like, "Oh, this is a dangerous person. We got to get her." This is a sick person who needs help, and sounds like she's got a distorted view. Probably just, this is kind of like another one of those overwhelming stress response type things. But detectives from the Miami-Dade Police and the Secret Service visited Phelps on March 3rd with the goal of interviewing her, but she resisted, the complaint said. Another agent went to her house 3 days later. When he asked her about the videos, Phelps started by saying that she was angry at the time about Kamala Harris becoming vice president, but that she is over it now. Phelps, who is black, also told the agent her anger stemmed from the false idea that Harris is not actually black, the complaint says. The vice president is black and is of South Asian and Jamaican descent. I'm sure in the 50s, if they were restricting, if they were making, what am I trying to say? I'm sure in the 50s, Kamala Harris wouldn't have been allowed to use the whites only fountains. I have a feeling. Yeah, I'm not gonna dive too far into that topic. But she was also angered. Okay, here's an interesting detail. Phelps was also reportedly angered by the false claim that Harris had placed her hand on her clutch purse instead of the Bible in the process of being inaugurated. False claim, and that's highlighted. So there must be some sort of wackadoo conspiracy thing that she didn't use the Bible. Now, what an offensive thing. How could she not? She put it on her own purse. I would put it on my phone. I'd be like, yes, Verizon, Hank Thompson becomes the vice president. Yeah, anyway, so this person is facing like 5 years in trouble. But okay, here's a lawyer statement. My client has gone through some extreme anxiety due to the extended incarceration of her husband. I believe that my client was simply placating to the expectations and pressures placed upon her by that husband, Saul said in an emailed statement to Insider. The couple had a sense of disappointment that the current presidential administration is not pursuing the same legal reforms that she thought the previous administration had done. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's what... It's weird how the news has this effect on our lives. The way these folks, I'm reading a lot into this, obviously, so who the hell knows? You know, not that what happens in Washington isn't important or doesn't have an effect on people. One of the, I think, more difficult to detect systems of disconnecting people from their agency. You might call that a kind of oppression, where people don't even bother because they don't think that anything affects them. This belief that, why should I vote? Why should I get involved? Nothing ever changes. Nothing ever gets better. Well, it's like, you're not necessarily out of your mind for thinking something like that, for having that sentiment, because you've been disconnected from democracy, from actually having both literal influence, but time to advocate, time to organize, time to show up, time to relax, so you don't always feel so stressed out. So people aren't wrong to necessarily think that their ability to affect their world is nominal and therefore it doesn't make sense to vote or to get involved. But then you get into the news and you start to get your kind of identity attachment set into your political ideology and into the media diet that you're consuming. And it starts to become a thing where you're probably got more localized issues. This person, this woman Phelps, and her husband's incarcerated, and to express legal reforms being an issue that is driving all that is, we all get, I don't know. It happens to me. I'm not saying that this is like I'm some perfect, like it's partially why I pulled off Twitter so hard, because it's just like, what am I doing? Spending my days freaking out, reeling from this kind of emotional cascade you get from being upset and outraged all the time, and shocked and horrified, and then numb to the shock and numb to the horror, without having any for me personally, I needed to have some sort of foundation to have a life to even be able to ingest all that shit again. That's what I'm trying to do. So sort of like, Perfect Union, by the way, which is like more of the politics stuff. This all kind of, that's still going to be a thing. I think we're just kind of, I'm feeling this out as we're going, which is why I chose this kind of weird story. Not that I didn't put a lot of effort into thinking of this. I had a bunch of stuff picked out about clams. They busted some dudes who stole a bunch of clams. Not like, and I don't mean that as a, I'm not saying clams as a euphemism for money, because it is. It's like the old mafia guys. They would, murder a guy over 14 clams. That's all not, okay. But, yeah, and the grizzly story that I had teased in the last episode. So we're not doing that one either, sadly. So, speaking of loss and death, major update here.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here as we near the end of another week together. Those alarming new numbers tonight on the virus in the U.S. We also have news on the Johnson & Johnson and the Pfizer vaccines. But we are going to begin tonight with the world, bidding farewell to Prince Philip, the husband of Queen Elizabeth, passing away just 2 months shy of his 100th birthday. Tonight here, the famous words from the Queen about
Prince Philip died. The Queen's house husband. I swear to God, I want to be someone's, I would love to be your house husband. I'm willing to marry the Queen now that she's single. I would be a great house husband. I would work out. I can get nice muscles if you give me some, totally. I would keep your car nice. If your Tesla broke down, I'll let you drive mine. And I don't even like fucking Teslas. I had a job driving Teslas professionally, by the way. Professionally is a funny word for that. But I did literally have a job driving Teslas. That's another fucked up. I think I always tease that. I would love to, I would do my woodworking as a podcast and you could make a bunch of money, but I would make sure that everything's good. I'd plan vacations. I'd argue with, I'd do all the bill. I would take care of stuff, You come home, I'd put a pretty pink bow in my hair and be ready in an apron in the kitchen and be your house husband. I think that, and this guy did it. This guy got to live my dream. He did it. I'm a good guy to do home contracting because I can fix anything myself, but also if some contract we need, the electricity or maybe the pool guy, the hot tub company or the pest control company or the raccoon control company, I can deal with those types of folks because I've been that. When I did it, I used to do aquariums. I was one of those guys, meaning I'm good for, I'm telling you, man, make me your house husband. Ladies, just a desperate plea. No, but all right, let's get into I don't like the royal family stuff. I'm not sure why I'm covering this, mostly because I just wanted to talk about that, really, honestly. So let's see what else is happening here. David Muir with your Easter Island head, you big fucking handsome hunky newscaster guy.
her husband. He was the longest-serving spouse of a British monarch in history. 4 children, the grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Queen Elizabeth has said he has been my strength and stay all these years.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was Prince Philip who famously walked with William and Harry at Diana's funeral. And tonight, the portrait of a prince after he stepped...
Wow, what a guy. He walked in the funeral for his daughter-in-law. What is that? Why is that worth noting? I walked in that funeral. I skipped school that day. I was very upset.
Back from public life just a couple of years ago. Tonight, what President Biden said today, his message from the U.S. and the images tonight.
So people watch this and they go, oh my God, our world, what are we going to do? One of the most privileged people to exist in history is gone. I don't know this guy's origins. I actually read a little bit about his background here. I'm not going to go real far into this, but, like a lot of the monarchy type class, they're the rulers of the world. They come from severe family trauma, and so everybody in charge has fucked up traumas. Everybody that they rule over has fucked up traumas. So let's see. When an interviewer asked him what language he had spoken at home as a boy, his immediate and rather cross retort was, "What do you mean at home? What do you mean at home? How dare you?" His apparent way of coping was to banish introspection and remain cheerful and purposeful. I do the opposite of that. I only do introspection, and I am not cheerful nor purposeful. In the absence of his own father, various surrogates helped shape the young prince's increasingly forthright character. The headmaster of Cheam, we all know the headmaster of Cheam, come on, was a cheerful clergyman and staunch disciplinarian who used a cane to punish daytime offenses and a sawn-off cricket bat for those caught having pillow fights after the lights out. What the fuck? So this guy was in charge of children, wealthy, rich. This dude was like Prince Philip was from Greece or something. He was some royal family guy or whatever. Check it out on the Netflix series, The Crown, starring Doctor Who. The headmaster of Cheam. Okay, cheerful. They called him cheerful, but he would beat children in the daytime with a cane, and at night he used a bigger weapon for having pillow fights. So he had access to their bedrooms, I'm sure. Nothing ever went weird in those sorts of situations. Philip's first beating as a new boy prompted him to ask the headmaster's wife Do you like Mr. Taylor? Do you like Mr. Taylor? The experienced Mrs. Taylor countered expertly. Sorry, I don't know how to do a young Greek boy accent. The experienced Mrs. Taylor countered expertly. Do you, Philip? She asked. No, answered the boy unequivocally. I do not. He beats me. He beats me when I'm sleeping and when I'm awake. Like, what? Okay, but as time passed, Phillips eventually liked Mr. Taylor. Why am I reading? Oh, but he also liked everything else about Cheam, the tough regime of which he later extolled in a preface to a history of the school. All right. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay. Now, I'm not sure. Okay. I haven't finished all my research here. We're doing it live. His more timid and sensitive son, Prince Charles, who had a miserable time at Cheam, may not have. Oh, really? How could that have been miserable? May not have entirely agreed with this assessment. He also found it impossible to share. I don't know what he's referring to. Anyway, the point is, Prince Charles. I was kind of hoping. Now, these two, Queen and Prince Philip, they don't call him the king. He doesn't get to be, even though she'd be the power in the king. Instead, it's Prince. But if he was king, wouldn't she be queen? All right. Maybe there's bigger problems in the world that we should work on than what I'm talking about right now. But I think it'd be hilarious if Prince Charles had died of old age. If your kid dies of old age, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. You want your kid to die of old age. That means that you have hacked it. You've got Dogecoin. You got body hacking going on. You're doing the 4-hour work week like Tim Ferriss says you should do. You're doing green smoothies or something and butternut enemas and maybe doing keto like I do. Your kid died. But they came close. They didn't quite live the dream. He got to live the dream of being a house husband for a wealthy woman who, he would just go down there and make sure the horse carriages were properly polished. But they didn't get to live the dream of their kid dying of old age, which is something. So, all right, that's nice. Good podcasting there, fuck boy. Let me let's fly into England a little bit. I like to do this on Google Earth. I'm sort of starting to experiment more with this. Queen's Palace. I don't know what they call anything in England. I don't know what it's all called. So, okay, cosmetic store in California. No, that's not what I wanted. Where does the Queen live? Royal Tenenbaum. No, that's not it. Royal Palace. Westminster Abbey. Isn't that a dog show? Sorry for the audio listeners. This is certainly... There we go. Okay, it's a church. We'll fly there. Come on, go. Start traveling. You hit the button and then it flies. It's working. All right, finally. Coming in on London. Looks like England here. And they're just north of France. England is quite a place. This is so boring. Sorry. Maybe I'll cut this part out of the audio. All right, we're getting more busy. We're getting some streets. Oh, man, I'm so excited. I like this shit. They got all these labels. Kingston. Uh-oh. Man, all these weird words. Wembley. Pfft. That must be the Thames. The Thames River. Here we go. All kinds of cool stuff here in London. A lot of fun things happening around there. Oh, my God, look at this place. Is this where this guy lived? Why does it say Abraham Lincoln? What the fuck is that? So here's the Abbey. Beautiful. Very cool. Very, very nice. Big old scary Gothic towers. I don't have any of the language. The Lady Chapel. All right. Wow, look at all this stuff. This is like a Bloodborne level. This shit's crazy, man. Yeah, but I'm sure all the people who... oh, my God, what is this one? This must be... This is... there's Big Ben. Looks like it's under construction. Big Ben is trying on new outfits. That's okay. You know what? Even my old Casio watch had to go into the repair shop once. I've never been a watchman. My dad gave me one for 8th grade graduation. I think I wore it once, and I was still grateful for it, though. But goddamn, I could have used a new Nintendo. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Bunch of big fancy shit here in England. That's pretty crazy. The Portcullis House, huh? with the Westminster Gym temporarily closed. Finally, someone's come to their senses. All right, well, okay. I'm just having fun here in England. What's this statue of? Looks to be some kind of crazed monster. Excellent. So anyway, Prince Philip's gone. We're gonna have to get by without him. I know it's hard. I know it's a struggle, but I believe we can do it together, all of us together. So, one more check-in with our friend Mr. Muir.
All of those visits with American presidents, and we hear from Princes William and Harry too. And in
A montage of him giving the wet willy to the various American presidents. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, both standing there getting wet willied by Prince Philip. Oh, thank you so much. It's nice. You like peanuts?
UK, like the US, a long year in this pandemic. And
my Reagan impression's even better than my Jimmy Carter impression.
Now loss, but celebration too tonight of a man who was always at the Queen's
Why is this on the news?
ABC's foreign correspondent.
This shit should not be news.
Tonight at Buckingham Palace in London.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Tonight in London, 99 tolls at Westminster Abbey for Prince Philip's 99 years. Queen Elizabeth's husband, the longest-serving royal spouse in British history, died at Windsor Castle earlier today. In COVID-safe tradition, masked palace aides presented the announcement. It is with deep...
Masked palace aides presented his skull to ward off invading ghosts and spirits who may decide it's time to penetrate the royal seat of power, now that the primary protector of the Queen is no longer at her side. Fortunately for him and her, in heaven he goes fully armed with military formal gear. He's up in heaven carrying around a sword, is what I'm saying.
Sorrow that Her Majesty the Queen announces the death of...
Yeah, this is just fucked up. The way that, like, and this happens in all countries, I don't know, maybe not, but like this sort of like how leaders become surrogates for a nation. There's an interesting YouTube video I'm just thinking about right now. It's like a editing, and they do kind of like movie sort of analysis. I can't think of what it's called, but they talked about the various archetypes that you find. And the king, I watched it. I'm going to totally summarize it poorly here, but they did the archetype of the king, and they showed like lots of Lord of the Rings, like Viggo Mortensen, Aragorn becomes the king of men again, and the men are able to rise after finally the hobbits show up to help him with the theft. But so they show that a lot, but you talk about other various kings in movies, and they sort of represent God. They have a religious and a spiritual figurehead type of thing, and it also often comes with trees being able to bloom or not. There's actually a dead tree, very on the nose as Lord of the Rings, a dead tree that finally sprouts its blossoms now that Gondor is coming back. Anyway, it's worth a watch. I'll put a link in the description, and it's an interesting notion about. I think it taps into something in humanity that we can only like. There's just too many people, and so you attach narratives to figures, to celebrities. I think that's why, like, America's sort of kings, royals are celebrities. I think that's a big part of why Donald Trump's The Apprentice conditioned Americans, particularly those kinds of folks that would watch that show, to over 13 or 14 seasons, however many, what is that? How many years was that? I don't, maybe 13 or 14, but I think it was less. I think they did multiple I'm not sure exactly how that, if that converts. People experience the vicariously, they have a vicarious experience through their, it's worship, it's knowledge, it's affiliate. Like Kim Kardashian, you watch the show about her, a little part of you is like, I'm experiencing that lifestyle this way. That's what any movie is. That's what porn is. That's all this stuff. So a little part of your brain is like, I'm in there. I'm experiencing this right now. That's how you're able to experience a story of another person. That's your empathy being activated. And I don't know. It's just something goofy about that. The way we, throughout history, they've been able to, and this is obviously a distortion of what actually, I mean, did regular folk have this kind of conscientiousness or consciousness about this? I don't know. I imagine in some ways they knew they lived under the power of somebody. They knew that there were men with weapons who would come by to take their beats and their beats by Dre. No, their farming results. So, but you get this notion of your life being less important than the leaders, and so people attach to that. And I think why The Apprentice had such a powerful influence, and I don't know if this is supported by research or not, but what people watched happen on The Apprentice was they watched celebrities cower and subjugate themselves to Donald Trump. They were nervous. They're nervous. They want to please him. They want him to be happy. Everything is done for his inspection and his approval. So he's like this like godly character on that show. But the royals of America, the celebrities, the celebrity culture is sucking up to him. Even though it's not like it was Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman and pick your super famous top, whatever. So it's not like it was those types. Even DC list celebrities are still like elevated beings on our Mount Olympus of America of celebrities. So I think that like that notion of that conveys a false narrative that Donald Trump was worthy of that sort of veneration and respect. I think there's something to the way people had that hacked or had that manipulated as to why the celebrity thing in the Apprentice. I didn't articulate any of that well at all, and I probably will talk about that again because it's something I think about a lot. The whole celebrity culture in America, and as to why groups of people seem like to want to watch them do stuff, or I don't know. Fame is weird. Fame is very strange. It has all sorts of crazy ramifications. So. All right. Well, I don't know what else there is to do. I think we're good. I think this is okay for now. Thanks for listening. We're going to keep pushing on. As I settle into woodworking stuff, I'm going to be able to produce this podcast a little better. I actually feel like I'm not hitting all the right cylinders quite yet. We got the statue of the Earl at the Mountbatten in London. That's kind of a cool platform. What the hell is this? This is a horse guards parade. This is a huge horse facility. All right. So this will be where the Queen of England goes down to help scoop up horse shit. Or maybe other people do that for her. Wow, it's like got a bunch of field. It's like a big brown field with the stands and stuff. What the wonderful Arabian, that's a horse type. What a nice Palatino. Wait, no, that's a font. What a nice paint. What a nice paint that is. What a beautiful Franklin Gothic medium italic, size 70. Cool. All right. Yeah. So working more and not I'm putting in long days and really excited to be starting to sell shit online. If any of you guys want to check out Bum Rush Industries, check out the website. Would be thrilled for your support. I don't know what price. I'm still figuring out these prices. The pricing is goofy. Candle holders on Etsy can be had for 10 to 20 to $30. So it varies. And these I'm putting in tons of effort. So I want to charge as much as people are willing to pay. You know what I mean? So I don't know what that is though. I'm not going to be like, these are $100. It seems insane, obviously. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm competing. I'm joining the marketplace against big IKEA, big Kohl's, big candle holder is being challenged. The supremacy of those is almost over. Okay. A guy scraping them out on his fucking balcony in Los Angeles is no, I don't know. So yeah, check it out. More videos coming soon too. And check out the woodworking streams. I'm actually going to start posting those next week. So hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. Hope you're starting to realize you got to get that tan. You got them pasty ass legs to worry about. I'm talking to myself. And we're going to keep on keeping on. Some other big news is on the horizon too, which I'm going to be talking about soon. So that'll be very interesting. I'm sure. I'm sure there's more stuff coming up, and hope you guys are doing good. Thanks for listening. Love you. Take care, and Click. Not time for you to click on something else. Stay safe.